Good, good afternoon. Today is the 30, the 30th of
Of December.
2023.
Yeah,
Wow,
right.
we've come a long way. And
Last day.
yeah,
Oh, well, one more.
one more day. And so we come to the end of the year. Actually, I'm in the city of Springfield. This is Reverend Tolly Kura. I came to see the Honorable Ben Swan, and we'll have a short conversation. And also, he's going to give us a message of hope for the new year. So I want to just get started. Just tell us your name, please.
My name is Benjamin Swan. SBenjamin And I'm the 11th child, the 7th son of George and Sally Swan, my parents who are deceased.
Okay. Just tell us a little bit about your upbringing in your town. What was the town like?
About that big.
Was it bigger than Zia or
No,
bigger than Tapeta?
it may have been bigger than Zia. I'm not sure it was bigger than Zia, but probably the same size. Um,
Certainly smaller than Tapeta.
well, I'm not sure which one is the smallest, Zia or Tapita.
Zia is smaller than Tapeta. Yeah.
I get the size mixed up.
Yes.
It was a small town, a couple of thousand people, but it was a center, agricultural center. The Mississippi Delta, that you probably have heard about, it covers half of the state of Mississippi, and it is known for its farming.
Okay.
And one of the major crops in my time was cotton.
Oh, okay.
And later on, soybeans, oats, and then vegetables for human consumption.
Okay.
But it was very lively during the time of my childhood. You caught me with a mouthful.
What was it like growing up in the segregation era when you were born? That was still racial segregation in the United States.
Right. Well, one you must remember that segregation exists in the country pretty much as a whole. It didn't make much difference whether it was legal or illegal. Mississippi law and Illinois or Indiana law was not much different.
Okay.
Because practices had a lot to do with human behavior. You understand what I mean? You grew up on your side of town, or on the black side of town. You know, you might have daily activities with people of white folk, especially your age group, and especially up until a certain age. You usually hang out together, play together. You don't go to school together. In the South, in the southern states, when I was a boy. that changed with the passage of the rights act, or different civil rights bills. But that bothered me very little because I had enough brothers and sisters to play with.
Yeah, yeah, no brothers and sisters to play with. So
And not only that, see, my father was like the foreman, or the he had at least large acres of land, the whole farm. And I often thought, as I grew up and understood, that he probably should have spent some time purchasing it instead of leasing it. But he was leasing it so that he could share it with his siblings. He had a number of brothers and sisters, and many of them younger than he. And in fact, my grandfather had, in essence, two families. He had 11 children by his first wife, and she passed, and he married a second wife, and he had 11 children by she. So he had a lot of children.
A lot of children.
And as I came into my teen years, much of my family, many of my uncles and aunts relocated from Mississippi to Illinois and Wisconsin and Michigan and Indiana.
I see how you got connections in Wisconsin and
those places.
Okay.
In fact, I have a brother who served in the Senate in Wisconsin. I have a cousin who served in the House in Indiana.
Wow.
In fact, I have two cousins.
And you are now serving as a paramount chief in Imba County.
Yeah.
That's a diverse thing. I wanted to talk a little bit about the contradictions of a nation built on the blueprint. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. As the foundation, when they were fighting against the monarchy in England, but after that battle, they still were carrying out racial discrimination. That's a contradiction.
You're not surprised, are you?
I know. Well, because we're speaking today 200 plus years, and we still have that same system in Liberia where we have missionaries. You know, we still have today. We have segregated education in Liberia. We have segregated. We just had elections in Liberia where we have 46 political parties, but only 20 were able to make it because those 20 are the ones that have access to America. They have green card, they have U.S. citizenship, they have connections here, and they have money. And so they make the laws in Liberia today in such a way to exclude.
To allow them the privilege that they will seek.
Yes. So the reason I wanted to ask you was there are 5 things we're looking at now, trying to better the situation in Liberia. One of it is the American Declaration of Independence, inalienable rights. We're looking at the inalienable rights of all human beings. We're looking at Brown
for certain rights.
Yes, certain rights.
Fixed rights.
Yes, and then a little bit about Brown and Bess versus Ashley, the woman in Massachusetts who went to court. She took action. So I want you to talk a little bit about the inalienable rights of human, and then talk about that in the context of people trying to secure those rights by taking action, like Brown and Bess versus Ashley, taking legal action in court. Brown versus Board of Education, again, action in court. Martin Luther King Jr. Marching for civil rights, mass mobilization. And you participated in that.
Yes.
So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, when Martin Luther King came along,
Mm-hmm.
he was part of a movement,
Mm-hmm.
and what we were trying to do is to get rid of discriminatory laws,
Mm-hmm.
which mainly affected black people, but at the same time affected some white folks, because when it became law, well, white folks had to do what the law said do also, and sometimes it took away rights from them, just to, in essence, to limit opportunities for black folks. Sometimes white folk lost certain rights and privileges. But that's basically what the Civil Rights Bill was all about, was the provide all rights of citizens to black folk, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it did, but it finally worked when there was civil rights law passed at the national level, federal level. It didn't make much difference if state law was enacted, because there were state laws that gave white folks privileges in certain states. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I think you answered my question. What I think people in Tapeta want to hear about is the visa waiver. So there was a law. The very first Constitution of Liberia was approved in Washington, D.C. Because Liberia was founded by folks like James Monroe from the United States. So they had this law that says all persons born in Liberia, or all persons moving from the United States to go to Liberia, will still have all rights of American citizenship. And
they lied.
Yes, they were trying to make people to leave so that they can hold on to slavery. That's what they were trying to do. But that law is still enforced in the miscellaneous Article 1 of 1847 Constitution, Article 95 of 1986 Constitution. But today, when people go to the embassy to get visa to come here, they have to pay $185. But almost everyone, except a few, they deny. They take the money and deny them.
And deny them the freedom that they seek.
Yes.
That must be changed, and in fact, we might have to enact federal law. We might have to broaden international law, say law that extends over the whole continent of Africa, or the whole continent of Europe, or to correct that. But sometimes practices happens or are allowed without law change. And sometimes when that happens, people are satisfied with the practice and they forget about the law.
Yes.
Until something happens that places them in an awkward position relative to the law. I mean, I've seen that happen. And in fact, with the segregation that happened when I was a young man, when I was a teenager, up until I was a teenager, it didn't bother many blacks, because they had their own associations in there. Sometimes you were self-employed, or sometimes you were employed by some organization that you didn't have to deal with so-called white privileges. But you didn't want the law to exist still. I mean, if you understood your rights and privileges. But some of us never want laws that place one person in an awkward position or at a disadvantage while giving privileges to another member of the society, no matter what color you are. And so that's what many of us who worked in the civil rights movement had to deal with. That was our position. I don't care what law you have. I don't know. I don't care what privileges give you. I just don't want to take any privileges away from me. And I can work with it. But United States of America maintained segregation, legal or de jure segregation for a long time in this country. My father lived most of his life. He and in fact some of his siblings lived their entire life under segregated law, racial segregation in their lives. And I know that many people that did not bother because they went on about their business, and some of them were business people. Some of them became wealthy as a result of segregation because they used it to their advantage. But it was in many cases painful, and in many cases it took rights away from people against their will. And that's the time when you really oppose it. I don't know if you have a question around that.
So there are two issues. One of the issues we have is this business of the electoral laws being so financially burdensome. It's impossible to have free and fair elections in Liberia, where you have 9 years for the Senate.
It's ridiculous, by the way.
9 years. Well, it's been paid for by American taxpayers.
I know.
American taxpayers
that
pay
makes
for
it.
that.
That makes it worse.
Yeah. So it's 9 years in office, and they can at any point set their salaries and benefits, so they can change it at any time. I was listening to the senator from Nimba County last night, and he said they just appointed the Minister of Justice as a Supreme Court justice, and he said he opposed that because there's been so many murders under the current regime that has not been investigated, and so he wasn't going to do that. But he said, as a senator, when we oppose, there's nothing anybody can do because we're there for the next 9 years.
And you got to deal with the law.
Yes.
I mean, you elected, but you still have to deal with the law of the land.
Yes.
And sometimes the law of the land doesn't make sense.
No.
And that might be what he's talking about. I didn't hear his statement.
Yeah.
But as I listened to you explain it, that might very well be what he's talking about. There's no reason, in my opinion, there's no reason country the size of Liberia or the United States of America should have senators for 9 years. I mean, maybe 5, but more. But the term for a senator in the United States is 6 years, and for members of the House of Representatives is 2. And I think it works very well.
What do you think of the cost of up to $2,500 for registration?
I don't think there should be a charge for registration. I think it should be.
What's about the bank account of minimum of $10,000 US dollars?
I don't think running for office should have anything to do with your bank account. Well, I mean, you know how many people are not able to participate in government as a result of that kind of law? I mean, how many people you know got an extra $10,000 lying in the bank and just
I don't know anyone in Boston has $10,000 in the bank.
No.
But there's a reason for that. The extractive industry in the country. There's gold mines and diamond mines and iron ore mines, and there are people outside that want to come and extract. And so they have to go through the politicians, and there are no laws
to stop it.
Yeah, to stop it. So that is part of the reason. But the ordinary citizens have no way, or they think they have no way to deal with that because they are not lawmakers. And for you to become a lawmaker, you got to go through the hoops of $10,000.
That's why you shouldn't have $10,000. Because you shouldn't have to go through hoops to become elected.
So how do you do that from time to time?
You change the law. You work to change the law. Change the law to lessen the term limit for a senator.
But you don't change the law until you get into the office.
Well, no. You can work on that without being a senator. You don't have to be a senator to work on changing the law.
How can you do that?
Petitioning.
Okay.
And if you don't have the proper petition in place, you still have to work on the petition. Even if you elected, you still got to go through the.
So, from what you say, it seems to me that the power is actually in the people. The people have to rise up.
That's where it should be. That's where it's supposed to be. but they need to know that they have the power.
Yes.
That now.
Because at the end of the day, they have to vote.
Right. The voters should make that decision. And that should be taught from kindergarten.
There's no civics instruction in Liberia.
Well, there ought to be.
Yeah.
There ought to be. There need to be. You know, there are some somewhere for somebody. Yeah, somebody know how the system works.
Can you give us a message of hope for the people in Tapeta, in Lima County, and in Liberia?
Well,
as we work on this visa waiver, we are interested. The way the system across the continent is set up by the colonial powers is that you have to come from Harvard to be allowed to serve in government in African nations. And not everybody have access.
But you don't have to. But you don't have to come from Harvard if you to serve in the United States of America.
No.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, but it's set up in a way that and the other thing is people have been indoctrinated to believe that the best officials of government are coming from Harvard, and the best way for development is for you to bring in companies from overseas to mine the gold and diamond, and then the country will be developed.
It is better for those people who come over, those visitors, those people who take advantage of your laws that allow them to do that. But I don't I suspect it's not good for citizens of Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's. Well, I think that it's not necessarily beneficial to Liberia citizens to have non-Liberia citizens or other people who don't live in Liberia, non-residents, making laws for Liberians,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what would bother me. That would bother me in the United States
Mm-hmm.
if there were people from Liberia making laws for the for people in the United States.
Yes.
So I believe strongly in citizens' participation in government and the government that they are part of, and I think that they belong in that government to make decisions for that government. But you have to be serious about it.
Yeah.
And there will be people who have no interest in making some special rules for you to do that
Mm-hmm.
if they don't have to. They you know when people are making laws in a country that they don't live in or they're not a citizen of, why are they doing it?
Because they have a company, they want to create jobs. They want to bring their company to mine goals and to create jobs. That's the
Something to benefit them personally,
yes. Mm-hmm.
right,
Personally,
or their
yeah.
families,
Yeah.
and I have a problem with that. I mean, I have no problem with a visitor or a non-citizen going through some kinds of some type of change to participate. In other words, pay your dues or pay whatever the price called is. But the price should not be better for a non-citizen
Mm-hmm.
than it is for a citizen. Citizens of the country should always have rights and privileges that non-citizens don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start thinking about people who have the rights to rule or to make laws, and when I said to rule, I mean I'm talking about people who make laws
Mm-hmm.
in a country that they don't live in or they have no right of citizenship. Something is wrong with that. And I'm an old man now, and but if I was 25 years old, I might want to make I might want to become a citizen. I might apply for citizenship for the purpose of changing, working toward changing that. And in essence, I can see your son doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's about the age you need to start, eh?
Yes. Yes.
But it is serious.
It's life and death.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's life and
You
death.
you will receive the kind of leadership that you saw under the gentleman that lived in the United States for a while and went back to Liberia in the late 90s. I can't think of his name at the moment. He became the president of the prime minister. but he led a civil war that wrecked the economy of that country,
Mm-hmm.
and it made him wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
but it made a
John
lot.
Stiller.
Yeah, thank you for calling his name, for reminding me of his name. Yeah, I had a chance to meet him while he was in the United States, but 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 it's hard for me to accept the I want to say the reality, the well being of that process for somebody who is a citizen, who was a citizen of Liberia, who served with a couple of the administration and came to the United States for a while and stayed a little while and went to school over here for a little while and then went back and I don't believe that was his idea, by the way. I think somebody.
The Boston Globe said at one point that he was part of the CIA. It was published in the Boston Globe.
Well, I never thought that he was completely unconnected, because some of the things that he did, some of the things that happened, it's hard for a non-citizen to do them. You got to have some serious contact, and the CIA has done a lot of that. I mean, I will never tell you that the CIA has been always right, right most of the time.
Or righteous.
Righteous, right? But sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But I haven't appreciated all the things the CIA has done in my lifetime. I haven't appreciated everything that my government, period, has done. In fact, I'm not happy about some of what my government is doing today, and I supported the present administration. I voted for Biden. I made contributions to his campaign, but I'm disappointed in his attachment to the state of Israel and the manner in which he is.
So you don't support the current bombing in the Gaza Strip?
No.
Okay.
No. You got all the airplanes in the world, all the tanks in the world, and you bombing somebody who went around with sneakers on.
Oh.
I mean, or barefoot. But no, that's not right.
How do you think he's going to be able to stop that?
Well,
public protest or
eventually there will be greater protests in the United States. There's already some protests in the United States against the involvement, and not only that, but I think he will gain some sense of fairness at some point. I mean, I think he got carried away, but I don't see him now as being as gun ho as he started out. Now that doesn't mean he's not supporting Israel, but I think if Israel's gonna do what it is doing, I don't want my country to help with that.
Okay. So there's in Liberia we've had 200 years of a system where people from the United States that went there have an edge over people who live there. In fact, for almost 100 years, indigenous Africans were not allowed to be citizens of Liberia. And today,
I didn't know that part about
oh
it.
yes, so
I guess I knew that existed one time, but I thought it had changed.
well, in effect, it has not changed because, and that's why we are pushing for the visa waiver, because some people like myself can come to the United States, send our kids to school here, but most of the people in the country are barred by the United States government from coming. So now I'm already here, and I have dual citizenship.
Okay.
But a vast majority of the people in Liberia, they are effectively denied. And because they are denied the privilege to education and other resources in this country, they always remain as an underclass. It's like we have
I've seen that.
a first-class citizenship and a second-class citizenship, where all of the officials of government, all of the opposition, all of the ruling party, the first lady, the president, everybody has access to the United States. But the vast majority have been cut off. And the United States...
I've noticed that. I noticed people who, well, you know that I've gone to immigration
Yes.
with some Liberian citizens
Yes.
when they were applying for
Visa.
visas to travel.
In Monrovia.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't think they were treated in any way fairly when they in their application for a visa to travel.
But now we have 41 countries, including Israel as of September, that all of their citizens can come to the United States without visa.
Without visa.
41 countries. But Liberia has it written in the Constitution, in Constitution 1824, approved in Washington, in the Constitution 1847, in a treaty signed in 1938 that allowed the United States military to move into Liberia, and in the 1986. But we just don't have that opportunity extended to all Liberians.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
My country hasn't always been correct. It's probably been incorrect more often than it's been correct. And in my opinion, it has affected some of our foreign policy. And the attitude of people outside of the United States who are citizens of other countries looking at the United States from a critical standpoint. And who I would love for the people who live in the United States to be constructive in their criticism of the United States and to work toward the changes that are needed. And some of the changes that are needed are some of the things that you're talking about now.
Can you give us a message of hope to the people of Tapeta, to the people of Nema, to the people of Liberia?
Well, everything that we just got finished talking about, change it.
Okay.
work toward changing all of the things that we identified as what I want to say, as doors that haven't been opened yet.
Yes.
And prepare today's generation to accept the responsibility of doing that in the future.
The big problem in Liberia is people believe that it's the government officials that need to do it and not the ordinary citizens. You, a lawmaker, retired. Can you just tell me a little bit about what citizens can
responsibilities
do? Responsibility in bringing about a change, like even whether we're talking about 9 years of senator. We're talking about laws that deprive all the citizens. We're talking about visa waiver for every citizen. Do you think that just ordinary people can come together to bring about the change?
That's who have to do it. I mean, the people who are riding in the catbird seat is not gonna change it. They all right.
Yes.
They like their seat. If it's gonna change, it's gonna be changed by people who don't have all the rights and privileges
Yes.
now, but recognize that it's important to have it. You will get somebody, but you got to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just leave it to chance. You got to, you got, your son is 13 or 12. 12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, he's coming of age.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it at that. And there are a lot of other 12 years old
Mm-hmm.
who need to be indoctrinated.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be explained why things need to change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can be any clearer.
Well, I think you made the point. They say if it, change, if it doesn't work, work it.
Work it. That's right.
Yeah. If it's not changed, change it.
And you got to think about changing sometime without violence.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't always. Sometimes you organize violence to overthrow your government, and you get through with the violence, and you still don't have the change that you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So work toward the change that you know is needed,
Mm-hmm.
and that you've convinced somebody else other than yourself that is needed. Be willing to expose your thoughts and ideas, share them with others, in the hope that they will be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you believe in your righteousness, act on it.
Mm-hmm. Like Martin Luther King Jr., you were part of the nonviolent civil.
Well, see, the most of the world only know Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look at some of those crowds
Mm-hmm.
during Martin Luther King Day, heyday, and I want you to understand sometime who organized them,
Mm-hmm.
and then or who invited Martin to come to the meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of praise for him, but he didn't do everything by himself.
Mm-hmm.
There was
collaboration with so many different organizations.
So many organizations, so many individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So many people down on the farms, down on the sharecroppers.
Mm-hmm.
People who scuffle. I like that word.
Mm-hmm.
to maintain a diet, a healthy diet for their families. A lot of those people who sometimes went to bed hungry also played a major role in the struggle for rights in the United States of America.
It's a group of people coming together
right
for the cause.
Right. Old and young and rich and poor.
Mm. Thank you very much. we've been talking with Honorable Ben Swan, who was Paramount Chief from Nima County, and you can wish them a Happy New Year.
Well, I wish
Like,
I wish Happy New Year for the people of Liberia.
yes, thank you.
You have good people in Liberia, and some of them have not been convinced of their righteousness
Mm-hmm.
because they don't see how it has paid off. Freedom pays off. It pays off to be free. If you look back at some of the results of Charles Taylor's war,
Mm-hmm.
and you remember how many people were killed, how many young people were killed for nothing.
For nothing, yeah.
You will understand the importance of being righteous in your cause.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to come here. I'll come back again, God willing, so we can have more chats together.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Drive safely.
Yes.